Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kāmesu miccacara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapamadattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now please mute yourself so that we have peace and quiet on your side, for all of us, to do a bit of meditation. We'll do the 4 elements meditation, a very simple version of it, leading up to the breath. So remember, before meditating, first thing you must do is make sure you find a quiet place, beautiful place, peaceful and safe. If you're doing it in your own home, it's best to, if you can, choose the same spot, same quiet, peaceful spot. That is your safe area, like a shrine, a sacred spot you go to whenever you need peace, whenever you want to meditate or just find some peace. So that is a good idea if you have a special little corner, or better still, a room if you have lots of rooms in your house. Outdoors also is very good. In fact, Buddha meditates outdoors mostly. Generally, we should learn to be able to meditate anywhere in the proper way, in a safe way. So the first thing is sit comfortably. We are doing sitting meditation. You sit on the chair, just lean back, sit well inside on the chair, and just lean back. Your arms comfortably placed on the armchair rest or palms together. Put in front of you or on your laps if you like. Balanced way of sitting. Center of gravity inside your body. So keep your body upright but relaxed. If you're not sure, you look at the very beautiful Buddha image. You can see many of those images, especially meditating image, to show you how to sit. It's best to close your eyes for focus. If you're sleepy or you feel better with your eyes open, then half open your eyes. Breathe normally. Now let go of everything else. True meditator is a renunciant. So this is not just meditating, you're also renouncing the world for a few minutes. You're letting go of the world. On a deeper level, the world are your 5 senses. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Those are easier to let go, renounce. The last one is the mind, and it's the most difficult one. And we're training ourselves to renounce our thoughts, at least temporarily, so that we see the breath as a bridge to inner peace. Today we'll start by reflecting on the body as earth element. Any sense of solid hardness in your body. For example, you can feel your body pressing on your chair. That pressure you can feel at the bottom, that is earth element. So earth here is the resistance. Feel that, note it as earth. That's how you see it. It is impermanent, changing all the time. You can feel your hands touching each other, your palms touching each other, or your palms placed on the chair or on your laps. The point of contact, also earth. Feel the point of contact, earth. Feel it, note it. Now you need to use the words. In time, it'll be natural for you. You just feel it, you know it as earth. Now, if you like, you can also use your tongue, the tip of your tongue, to push the back of your upper teeth. Gently use the tip of your tongue. Feel your upper teeth. You can feel the hardness of your teeth or your gums, upper gum. That is earth also. So there are these different experiences of earth. Note them as earth. This is your body. To make your meditation interesting, just slowly move around your body and notice other earth elements. Now focus inside your mouth. You can feel saliva, water element. If there's sweat under your armpit, water element. So note the water element. Water element. Just smile at water element. Show your metta, loving kindness. Now notice the fire element on your body, in your body. For example, your arm pressing against your body, you can feel a bit warm in your armpits. Fire element. Or if you're wearing thick clothes, or you can feel warmth underneath clothing. Fire element. Sitting on the chair, you can feel the warmth of the chair underneath. Fire element. So try to notice fire in your body, on your body. Fire. Smile. And now notice the air coming in, going out. That's the wind element. It's your breath, wind element, movement. Just smile. Be happy with this knowledge. Smile. Wind element. It's so wonderful to know all this. It brings us peace. Notice the breath coming in, going out. You're now doing breath meditation. As you breathe in, feel it. Note it as in. When you breathe out, note it as out. You know you're breathing in. You know you're breathing out. Nothing else matters right now, just this wonderful, precious breath. This is the source, this is the heart of your inner peace. This is the starting of your awakening. So remember all these steps. You can practice on your own as long as you like. For each stage, roughly, just feel it. And then just go on at your own pace. Even 5 minutes each time is good. Do as often as you can, or whenever you need to. Then study the notes on the earth elements again, and you find the theory and practice go together, hand in hand, helping each other. Now we come to the point where we review our practice, remember all the steps you have learned. If there are peaceful moments, joyful moments, remember them. They will help you in your future meditations. This is your inner strength. This is like your island of peace. Flood waters may flow around you, but you are untouched by this inner peace. Safe with this inner peace. If there are difficulties, remember them. Find out how to solve them, how to correct those distractions. This is your review. Now we slowly, gently come back to this world so that we can go on to our talk. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. So just open your eyes. All right, sadhu. We'll start with our second talk. This is BMM2021-2. The body, mind, and meditation. Lesson 2. We're talking about form. Okay? In this series, we are exploring the nature of the 5 aggregates. During the 45 years that the Buddha has taught the Dhamma, he used various what are called teaching sets, or simply teachings. One of the best known of these teaching sets, there are many, by the way. One of them is the 5 aggregates, and this is one of the most interesting formula, especially for for the modern people. It's a summary of our body and mind. If you had attended the first class, first talk, remember we talk about first, if you talk about our existence as comprising body and mind, body is represented by form, Rūpa, and then the rest of our being is or are or constitutes the mind, okay, which will be feeling, perception, formation, consciousness. We'll be talking about all this in some detail for the rest of 2021. So this year will be the year of the 5 aggregates. Today we'll focus on form, Rūpa. Now, those of you from Malaysia, Singapore, or those of you who know some Malay or Indonesian, you know this Rūpa is a very familiar word. It came from Pali, from Sanskrit to Buddhism. Rūpa, it has maintained the same meaning, but of course in Malay, in Indonesian, as living languages, the word Rūpa also has changed a bit, extended meaning. It also means looks, okay, Rūpa. Or what it seems to be, right? You can use it in different ways. Now we look at the original sense of Rūpa as form. Or to be more exact, we can say Rūpa here means material form. Our body is Rūpa. Okay, so in this talk today, we'll look at what is form, what is the body, and why is this knowledge useful? How do we use it, right? Now, so if we look at this, let's look at our slide. Now, okay, you can see, let me share the slide first. Okay. Okay. All right, can you see the PowerPoint slide? What is form? Okay, good. Right, so this, in case, these are in your notes also, you can see SD 17.2a, that is the volume and chapter based on which this talk is based, and then brackets 1 to 4 is the section, so you can, after this, go back and read the details for better understanding. So what is form? Okay, here the Buddha kind of has given us various different definitions. I've taken this from a sutta called Kajaniya Sutta, S22.79, and there you find this very instructive definition of form. So as usual, the Buddha is addressing the monk, says, "And what bhikshus do you call form?" Now look at this. This is called etymology. Etymology, how words start, how words originate. So in Pali, we have lots of etymology. Words have roots. The roots are the basic sound with basic meanings, and from there you get many other words. Then from the roots you get the stem. Very interesting. These are plant parts. The stem. The stem is it's like the word you look for in a dictionary. That's the stem. Okay, and then you have the actual word. So here. The etymology reads, "It is transformed." Now you see close brackets, molested, because this close brackets means it's called an alternate translation. So you can say transform, you can also say it is molested. Rūpatiti. Yes, pictures. Therefore it is called form. What does this mean? This form we have, it changes, right? Transform means it changes. So it's called form because it changes. So this is how the Buddha teaches us the word form. So the word form, in other words, is a reminder to us that this is something that changes. It's also molested. So there's a play on word here. So Rūpati, okay? Rūpati, notice there's the double P here, but then the sound value is the same. So the first syllable, instead of Rūp, which is also 2 counts, is Rūpa, okay? So it is molested by what? by the weather, by heat, cold, by mosquitoes, by if we sit too long, we tire, we stand too long, we tire, we walk too long, we tire, we lie down also too long, we tire, we tire. Yeah? So we have to change these 4 postures, standing, walking, sitting, lying down. Then we don't notice this change. So the change is there, but we don't notice it because we keep changing our posture, standing, walking, sitting, lying down. But if we sit too long, stand too long, lie too long, walk too long, you feel that molestation, that difficulty, that trouble. So that's why it's called form. So you can see it's a very beautiful way of talking about this is what Rūpa or form. Yeah? So it's a kind of, the word itself reminds us of a kind of meditation on the true nature of our body. Then, of course, the Buddha goes on in a dialogue, in a talk way. What transformed by what? There you are. Transformed by cold, transformed by heat. So instead of transform, you can say molested by cold, molested by heat, troubled by cold, troubled by heat, transformed by hunger, transformed by thirst. How are we transformed by hunger? When our body becomes weak, we lose weight and so on. Transformed by the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and serpents. For most of us, serpents and snakes, we rarely see them except in some special zoo or reptile place, right? But in Buddha's time, especially the monks, the forest monks, especially living in nature, they often see serpents and snakes in the forest. So there you are, transformed by all these things, by weather and by bugs and so on. It is transformed, bhikshus, therefore it is called form. None of these were nicely written, like printed like this. They're all spoken. That is why there's a repetition. You notice the key lines repeated in the last line. So always make a habit of looking at the reference as 22.79, comma 5. The comma means the next number is the line number. So Sutta 22.79, line 5, you will see all this. Yeah? And then the slash 3.3:86. This is in the Pali Text Society. About 100 years ago, there's some scholars put together the Pali text, which they got from Southeast Asia, from Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia. So they put nicely and page it. So the Pali text or PTS edition is volume 3, page 86. You get the Pali version of this. Of course, this can be difficult to get, a bit troublesome to read. You only need to go to SD 17.9, Sutta Discovery, volume 17, chapter 9. It's all there done for you. You can go online or you can contact us. We'll send it to you, the latest one. So there you are. This is how you connect, how you get back all these suttas and study them for yourself. Right? Right. So this word Rūpa or form is a term used in the suttas. Right? So form, so you can translate Rūpa as form or matter, if you like. Okay, it can be distinguished in the Pali Canon in the following ways. Pali Canon is the general modern term we use for the Pali Suttas. Canon, this is a single N, very interesting, not double N. Double N is shoot cannonballs, is a weapon of destruction. This is a single N. Canon, that means it is a scripture. It is a recognized original teachings. Canon, okay? It's also a name of a kind of music, beautiful music. So Pali Canon means the Pali Tipitaka, or more strictly speaking, it is the Dhamma Vinaya. You have the suttas and the Vinaya. Okay. Often the Abhidhamma also teach help to explain the suttas. Then we can include that also. So if you look at the suttas and the Vinaya, you can, whenever you see this word Rūpa, you got to ask yourself, what does it mean here? This is something very important when you study suttas. In my 50 over years of studying the suttas, I've learned so many things about language. It's so helpful. Never have too much of a dictionary mind. I mean, dictionaries are really good. I love dictionaries. I can collect them. And more importantly, I often refer to them. A dictionary defines terms. Now, very important you must tell yourself is, where do all these terms comes from, right? All these dictionaries, they define terms as used by us, right? I mean, the most amazing dictionary we have, this Oxford English Dictionary. It's a huge collection, more than about 15 volumes, I think. And people spend, wow, I don't know, nearly 100 years, I think, putting together all this, okay? So this dictionary, although we say dictionaries define terms, but the reality is the user define the words, and then the dictionary uses these words. So whenever you look at a term in Pali, in the sutta, never jump into conclusion, this is what it means, nothing else. You got to see the context. I call this the rule of context. You want to read the sutta, you must understand the rule of context. What does the Buddha mean in this context? And you see this again and again in this Buddha's teaching, because the Buddha is giving a talk, he's teaching, he's using words as tools. So what does he mean by it? If you, let me give an example, okay, a very dramatic example. There is a very dramatic verse in Dhammapada where the Buddha says, you have to kill mother, kill father. Wow, it's amazing. I mean, how could the Buddha say that? You might wonder, right? Of course, if we're talking on the worldly level, yes, it's wrong. Okay, precept level, that's wrong. And that's not what the Buddha means. He's talking on the deeper level or higher level, if you like. Father here refers to ignorance, if you like. Mother refers to craving in this case. So you got to kill these two roots, which are the mother and father of suffering. So the Buddha is using here in a biological sense. He's not using this in a social sense. But that's called context. So you got to find out context. Okay. So what is or what are the contexts of Rūpa in the Pali canon? So first, form is Rūpa. It simply means here, you can say a kind of inner reality that we are, okay? My body, okay? So very simply, okay, that's form. First meaning, but the most obvious meaning. Then form, secondly, is what is visible, all right? What is visible. So here you have the Pali, but this Pali is very useful. This is a great way to begin to learn Pali by learning all the technical terms. Okay. Number two is Rūpa as what is visible. The Pali word is Rūpayatana. Okay, some of you are already wondering, what is that sharp little hat over A, right? It's a very good mind. If you're asking the question, it's very good. Okay, that A, the vowel A with it's called a caret, C-A-R-E-T, caret. Caret is very similar to apostrophe. Okay, apostrophe, one letter is missing. Here, caret, it means a combination of letters, but you don't see it there. The value of A with the caret over it, with the hat over it, is the same as the value of the U, Rūpa, U with the makran. The line over the U is called a makran. Makran means big, so it makes the sound bigger. Without the makran, it's just Rūpa. Okay, one count. If you know music, so one count. Okay, whereas the U with the makran, Rūpa, two counts. Okay, so this is a very important in Pali, short and long. Short one count, long two counts. Rūpa. So if you don't pronounce it properly in this way, it can mean different things. Okay, so the caret means there are two vowels combined. So in this case, Rūpa is one word, and then ayatana is another word. Then you have lots of this combination, Rūpayatana, very common in German, right? So you find that the Germans love Pali because they see it so familiar, like their language. Lots in German, you have lots of compounds. So this is called a compound because it's joined. You have these two parts, two components joined together: Rūpa plus ayatana, Rūpayatana. So Rūpa is form, ayatana can be translated as base, form base. Form base basically is the object of what you experience when you see something. Form, we call it form base, or simply it's also called form. Okay, so that's a second meaning of form, what we see. Now notice these two are connected. The first form is what you are. When you're meditating just now, you felt your heaviness pushing against the chair. You feel your hands touching each other. That is your body form. You remember in the first talk, I mentioned there are two ways of looking at form, right? You can look at form as eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, 5 senses. That's one way. Another way is you can look at form as the 4 elements, which we'll be talking about for the rest of this study today in a while. Okay, so that's number 1. What we are, internal form, if you like, internal form. Okay, number 2 is external form, what you see, what you can touch even, or taste even, if you like. Okay, so for example, when you take food, that is also form, matter. All right, so this is the number 2 here, what is visible. Okay, remember when we say what is visible, you can also include as a kind of extra what you can feel also, what you can touch and what you can taste even. Right, so these are extra things, but the key idea here is what is visible. Now, then Rūpa has a broader meaning. Number 3, it also has the sense of the sentient realm, a world, a kind of world where the senses are necessary. That's our world, the world we live in, because we are not alone. There are many other beings with form around us, human beings, and there are animals, and there are the things around us, right? So that's form. Okay? And what is characteristic of our world, the sentient realm, is we use our senses. Sentient is the adjective for sentient, senses. That is why the T sounds like an S. This English is very strange. A T pronounced as S. No? Sentient. Okay, that means like. I mean, using the senses. Okay, this is the realm. This is the world where we depend on our senses, right? So this is one meaning. Eh? Of course, in that case, we will call it karma dhatu. Okay, usually, technically, but here we can also say rupa dhatu. Strictly speaking, Rūpa Dhatu refers to a higher level of world. Right? So now you have a kind of higher meaning. It refers to, now notice this, okay? And you got to get used to this, the nature of language. The meaning is normal sense that we've been talking about. Because when you attain jhana and go into the form world, it's called Rūpa Dhatu. It also is called Rūpayatana. Okay, that form is beyond the senses. So you see the problem now, like when it comes to language. So we got to see the context. In this context of meditation, Rūpa Dhatu refers to the form world, the 4 jhanas. So in the form jhanas, the senses have ceased to exist. We are free from the body, free from the senses, then we attain the form element, if you like. That is it's also called Rūpa jhana, for example. So this is the third meaning. And then notice there's another word for it, or Rūpa vachara. Here again, you see the carrot, right? So once you see the carrot, you know it is the 2 words there combined, Rūpa plus avachara. Now, chara means to move. I mean, the word car is there. Notice CAR, a car moves, okay? In fact, the word charati means to move. And the word chariot, very similar to car. See how English is connected with Pali? So chara means to move, to travel. Avachara means to kind of like go around and around, go back and forth, no? Or go down again. We go down to be reborn. Avachara. So avachara means sphere of existence. Rupa avachara is where people exist as fine form, in fine form. That's one translation. So the world of the four jhana also can be a realm of existence, but in this case, we're talking about you can reach it by meditation. Two ways. You can reach it by meditation, or you can be reborn there. Okay. So if you reach it by meditation, then of course you'll be number 4 here. Rūpa also refers to jhana, especially the first 4 jhanas, meditation absorption. Now here you notice this very interesting Pali word, Rūpa jhana. Okay? Here the J is an insert, embedded J, it's extra. It is put there to help us remember that Rūpa, the Pa is short, right? So Rūpa jhana. Right? So when you say it together, it's kind of like poetic, sounds nice. Okay, this is following the rules of euphonic combination, or sandhi. Rūpa jhana. Okay, Rūpa form, jhana is deep meditation, meditation absorption. Right? Or I use the Pali dhyana is actually English. It comes from the Sanskrit. Sanskrit dhyana, the Sanskrit has got a macron over the middle A, dhyana. You often find this word in the big dictionaries, so I use this as an English word. That's why some people are wondering why I use Pali Sutras, but I use Sanskrit. I tell them it is not Sanskrit, this is an English word. It's an anglicized word. You can find this in the English dictionary. So I use it for convenience, okay? It's okay, you can still use jhana with a J if you like. Right, so here you are. These are the 4 meanings, 4 senses of Rūpa. So you got to decide which is the one we're talking about in that particular sutta context. So you have, number 1, the internal form, number 2, external form. Number 3 is like a cosmological sense, cosmology. And number 4 is the psychological sense of it. Okay, so inner, outer, cosmological, and psychological. Right. So this has been noted by one scholar called Y. Karunadasa. He wrote in a book called the Buddhist analysis of matter. Okay. All right. Now, in the next slide, you see the 4 elements. Now, once again, notice if you want to read up, you go to SG 17.2a, section 3.1. So when we talk about form, remember in talk 1, I say we can talk it in terms of the 5 senses. One day we'll probably do that. Since most of us are already familiar with the 5 senses, we are going to talk more about the 4 elements. So the 4 elements are mentioned in the Satipatthana Sutta, M10. Okay, now, M10 is a very good sutta. It's a very important sutta, Satipatthana Sutta. It gives you all those important practice. There is a longer version of this. It's called the Maha Satipatthana Sutta, D22. This is a very long sutta. It's got a lot of extra things. And it's meant for an advertisement. So it's not very helpful when you have to study it for meditation. You only need that actual Satipatthana Sutta. So this is the one. M10 is the Satipatthana Sutta. Mahasatipatthana Sutta D22 is, you can say, a heavily embroidered sutta meant to attract non-Buddhists. They are impressed and say, wow, you know, the Buddha's teaching all these really profound things, right? The Mahasatipatthana Sutta contains M10 plus Saccavibhanga Sutta, detailed analysis of the Four Noble Truths also. So it's a very what shall we say, theoretical, philosophical track of teaching. So the Satipatthana Sutta M10 defines the four elements in this way. The Buddha says there are in this body the earth element. Okay, so when you say earth element, it is very similar to what you see outside, the mountains, the ground, the dirt, if you like, Patavi. Okay, in fact, the word Patavi can also refer to the earth, the world. So this is the first meaning. And then there is the water element, apo, water element. Okay. Now, remember, these are the elements. They are not just the water we drink. The water we drink is just one aspect of it. By the end of this class, you begin to see the bigger picture. Okay. So there are in this body the earth element, the water element, right? And the H2O is one of them. And there is the fire element. There you can see fire burning, Tejo, okay, fire element. And then there's the wind element, Vayu, okay. So this is the basic thing we must know. What are the four elements? Earth, water, fire, wind. Now these four elements are really an amazing teaching the Buddha has given us. It's went to China, and the Chinese thinkers also use this idea. They were amazed, and then they build up on this. They added in other elements. They put in wood, metal, and so on. And then even in India in the Buddha's time, these elements are used to talk about health, right? So the traditional Indian medicine started with the Buddha, by the way, with the monks, because the monks living all by themselves in the forest. They have to take care of their health. They have to know what are the dangers in the forest to avoid, what are the things to eat, not to eat, how to be healthy, because if they fall sick, they're all by themselves. Nobody is going to know. So they have to be healthy. So they, for example, they use a simple medicine, kind of ammonia solution. They collect cow's urine, mind you. So this is the first medicine the monks are told to use. They collect cow's urine. They put it in a kind of jar, seal it, and then bury it for a while until it ferments. Then they use it for some as medicine. It's a kind of cure-all. So this is the first simple basic medicine the monks use. And there are suttas which talks about, you have too much earth, you'll be overweight, for example. Too much water is not good. Too much fire, you have fever. Too much wind, you're also sick. So of course, in the Chinese traditional medicine, you hear a lot about all these things. So it's based on this idea of the four elements. By the way, these four elements went to the West also, and then you got the concept of the humus, the four humus. But then again, the idea changed a bit. Okay, so you can, if you like to study this how different cultures look at this idea of the elements, you can find out under humus, H-U-M-O-U-R-S. Okay? Now, if you want to know more details, there you can see the reference there. D22,6, D22 of Mahasatipatthana Sutta, section 6. Then you have the M10, which is Satipatthana Sutta. You go to section 12. Okay, so here, in the case of DM, the comma is followed by the section, okay, not the line. Okay. All right, now we see something interesting. Let's look at it from the modern point of view. What are the four? In modern point of view, we talk about the four states of matter. The four elements are spoken as the four states of matter in modern science. You have solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Now remember, the Buddha is talking like, 2,500 years ago, right? So he's not going to tell us, oh, the solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Then we'll be suspicious. Somebody in the West must have written that sutta. So the Buddha used earth, water, fire, wind. But in modern science, we talk of solid, liquid, gas, plasma. So we're going to look at how different is this between Buddhism and modern science. Let's look at the similarities first. Okay. Now, this diagram is very useful. In other words, science helps us to understand what the Buddha has taught us. in this case. Remember, although we speak of 4 elements, they are not separate elements. They're not separate things. They are only one way of looking at this form, Rūpa. Okay, it's very simple to understand this. Now, we talk of the 4 postures, right? Under natural circumstances, human beings go through 4 postures: standing, walking, sitting, lying down. We have to assume one of these 4 postures. But we never say all these postures are separate things. We don't say that. They kind of go through like a fluid motion. Okay? For example, if you see this ballet dancer, he dances run here and run there. Okay, so we can, what do we say is that? Can we say it's walking? Can we say it's running? We can. It's called dancing. So you have another word for it. Then he jumps in the air. He's floating for a while. And if you take a photograph of this dancer floating in the air, he's actually in the air. So what do you say? What do you call that? There's no word for that. Can we say he's flying? You know, well, yes and no again. You know. So the point of this is that this word standing, walking, sitting, lying down, they are fluid observances we make of our situation. It is convenient at one point we say, okay, this is what it is, but at this moment, right? So this is the rule of change, impermanence. Everything is fluid and a flux. The 4 elements also like that. Now, so solid, liquid, gas, plasma, they are states of matter. So the word states here is very helpful to remind us that they're actually more or less the same thing. Again, here, I have to be careful how I'm saying it. More or less the same thing. More or less means it is only by way of talking, right? That they seem to be the same, but they are not the same. So notice here, we are contradicting ourselves once we talk in language. Same yet not the same. So it's possible to talk in what's called an anti-Aristotelian way. Aristotle was saying, no, you cannot talk like that. It's either A or B, true or not true, right? But here is a case where you have no choice, but you have to talk in that way. They refer to both these aspects in a manner of speaking, right? Of course, I'm not saying Aristotle is wrong. If Aristotle is wrong, I have a mathematical professor who told me, wow, he's wrong, the whole of our mathematics system will collapse. You know, all our business and banks will collapse, for the number system will not work. Okay, so you have another big story there. Okay, so here, solid, liquid, gas, plasma. 4 states of matter, 4 phases of matter, 4 stages matter go through. Take water, for example. Okay, we say it's water, right? So when it is really cold, you have the first column, it is solid, right? So you have this science diagram with all the molecules fixed in the lattice, right? So that's how they talk about it. Everything is like fixed, so it is solid. That's how you get ice, which is quite hard. Then when ice melts, today's paper showed part of ice in the North Pole is breaking away, you know. Then it becomes liquid, it becomes water, H2O. Okay, actually notice it's H2O all the way, right? But here we say it's water. When it's warm, it melts. The molecules are free to move. The molecules move around. Okay, molecules are the tiny, very, very tiny, tiniest bits of, nearly the tiniest bits of water molecules. Okay, H2O. So when ice melts, it becomes water. Then you boil this water, it becomes steam. Now, steam, you find the water molecules move even more over a bigger space, right? So that's heat. Water becomes steam, right? Now we come to this rather difficult idea, plasma. It is even hotter still, really super hot, you know. So you have all these ions, electrons, is energy already. Right? You can think it simply as energy. So there you are. You see these four states of matter in this way. So this helps us understand the fluid, impermanent nature of the four elements. That is why we look at this diagram. So if you're a scientist, you find, yeah, I can understand it. It's so easy, you know, it's very basic, right? So there you are. Is to help us understand what the Buddha has taught well before science arose. So you can see the Buddha is well ahead of his time in the manner of speaking. So we have been speaking about eyes. Huh? So here you go to section 6.3. So eyes as it is, solid, hard, it is actually earth element. So notice again here, the water, which is ice, is earth element. Or we can say the earth element predominates, right? That means, so earth is not a thing here, it's a state of matter. It's a way of looking, understanding this, how matter works, if we like, okay? Now, even when I say how matter works, it's just a way of talking. It doesn't really work, you know. So there you are, even language, you notice, we use it and we understand the meaning. When that happens, something in your mind becomes clear. You say, oh yes, I understand. See? So there you are. See, water melts, and then you have this nice picture put together here by Ratna. So beautiful, huh? When it is warm, ice melts into water. So that's when the water element predominates, right? So you call it water element. And when you put this water into a pot and then you put over a strong fire, wow, you better don't put your hand near it, right? So when the boiling water splashes, it boils and scalds, it burns, just like fire, right? So this is where the fire element predominates. There's something interesting here I learned when I was in secondary school. You know, it is said that if you are in the North Pole or South Pole, really cold place, and then there is a metal bar on the ground. The metal bar has been there for some time. This metal bar is super cool, super cold. And if you are to touch it with your bare hand, I'm told, it will burn you, just like fire burns your hand. So notice, even coal can burn. Very interesting way of talking, isn't it? Because of the fire element. Okay, so there you are. See how interesting and useful this idea of the four elements help us to understand the nature of form, right? So when water boils, the fire element predominates. You can feel the heat in the water. And when the water boils long enough, it turns into steam. Steam moves, and then it spreads and cools. And then you feel the wetness, and then you feel the sense of motion. The steam engine uses this principle because of the wind element, movement, motion. So there you are. Notice from ice, you get all these four elements changing form, arising.
Yeah.
Yes?
Do you want to take a break now?
Okay,
It's
yes.
11.
Yes, just nice. You take a break. This got number 4, and then we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Okay? Yeah. Okay, now we go to the next diagram. Okay, 4 elements. Now this is section 3.3 now. So now, okay, we've been talking about the 4 elements as if we see all around us on the big things. But these 4 elements, they go right down to the tiniest aspect of matter, the atom itself. Even at the level of the tiniest particle, the principle applies. Of course, in the Buddha's time, the Buddha did not talk like that, but the principle applies. And even in Abhidhamma, they try to talk this way, that even at the level of the atomic level, you see this principle working. So this is the famous Rotofort atom. You can see It's an atom, but then it's made out of parts, right? You see the nucleus in the center, and there's a lot of space around it, and then you have the electrons. By the way, this is a helium atom, okay? So you have 2 electrons there, right? And then the protons, neutrons, all this. This is science. You get a scientist to explain, to be very interesting. So what happens here is that in terms of at the atom, you see there is the earth element in the atom. And what is the earth element? It is the nucleus and the electrons. Okay, that's the earth element aspect of it. And then there is the water element. Okay, here you cannot think of water merely as H2O. Matter is apo. Okay? Water is just a word used by the Buddha to refer to the second element. And this is, in Abhidharma, this is said to be the cohesive aspect, the stickiness, what joins things together. For example, if you take flour, if you are baking something, you have flour. Flour is the earth element. And then you want to mix the flour together to stick together. What do? You add water to it, right? So the water sticks the flour together. It becomes dough. Okay. Then once the dough is ready, you bake it. You put in the fire, right? The fire element changes the dough into cake, bread, and so on. And then there is the wind element. Okay. Here wind refers to motion. Okay. So okay, here water refers to the electrical charges, the nuclear force, the orbital energy, and the key word here is the binding energy that holds the atom together. Should be holds the atom together, right? So that's the water element, the energy holding the atom together. Now, fire element is very interesting here. Is the nuclear energy, and not just the nuclear energy, but also atomic decay. Now here again, we are used to thinking fire is only heat, right? But when you apply fire to our body, in other words, the fire element in the body, it also refers to decay. We are decaying all the time. That's the fire element working inside us, our metabolism, okay? Our oxidation, metal rust, through combustion, right? We also rust when we're speaking to the fire element. That decay we go through. My hair is turning white. I'm growing old. I'm not so strong now. So that's the fire element working on us. So it also works on the atom. Then finally, you have the wind element. This is motion, right? Wind is motion. The ceaseless motion of the atom and subatomic particles. In fact, the atoms are moving all the time. So there you can see the 4 elements working even at the tiniest level, the most simplest level of our physical existence. So these 4 elements, they interconnect, interbeing of the 4 elements. So you see here in SD 17.2a, section 6, you can read up more. So we can say that in a manner of speaking, the 4 elements are founded on the earth element. It's all these solid things. They are held together by water element. Right? If you like, you can say the 4 elements stand on water element, if you like. Okay, founded on earth element, because that's what allows us to stand. It is solid. It holds us up. And then what holds us together is the water element, right? Then you have it is maintained by the fire element, right? Fire element keeps us going. Here maintain also means we change, we transform, we decay, we grow old, right? Because when in the first few years of our life, up to say 30 something, we say we grow up. After that, we say we grow old. But actually, we're talking about the same thing. From the moment the baby is born, basically, he or she starts decaying. It's the fire element. And then we are extended by the wind. When we move, whatever moves inside us, outside us, it's called the wind element. So this is how we look at how all these four elements function together as a set. Now we can see this in a daily situation here in the sealing wax. Here, this is a very well-known scholar monk called Lady Sayadaw, LEDI, Lady Sayadaw. He used the example of sealing wax. Okay, now if you look at sealing wax, they can be made to look very nice. Then this sealing wax is actually a solid piece of a stick-like thing, and then you use fire to heat it, right? Then it melts. So in its natural form, the sealing wax is mostly hard earth. Okay, right? Okay, we come to this little. So it's in its natural form, sealing wax is hard earth elements, solid. But when it comes into contact with fire, with heat, it turns into the soft earth element. So you got hard earth element, you got soft earth element. So here again, a characteristic of earth also hardness, softness. So when you're sitting down, you feel, oh, this cushion is soft, earth element. Oh, this chair is hard, earth element, right? Then we talk about fire element. If you heat, fire element. Oh, also fire element. Okay. So coming back to this sealing wax. So when you remove the heat, then the sealing wax hardens. So this person he's letting this sealing wax melt over the document. It is very soft, and then after he rinses his seal over it, and then it hardens just nice. So again, in its natural state, sealing wax is cohesive water element. It sticks together. When it is near fire, it is liquid water element. It flows, just like in the second picture. And when the fire is taken away, you see this sealing wax returning to the water element again. Then it hardens. Okay. In a natural state, you see sealing wax can be seen as coal fire, right? In the top picture. So it is solid. So it's like coal fire, so to speak. And this is according to Lady Sayadaw. And then when you put it near fire, the hot fire element predominates. And when the fire is taken away, it returns to the cold state. So the idea here is, again, to reflect on the nature of the four elements, how they're in a state of flux. Then again, in its natural state, sealing wax can be seen as pressured wind element. It's like this wind element is all hot inside the sealing wax. Then when you put this sealing wax near the fire, you free the wind element, as it were. It moves, the molecules move. So it's just another way of talking. You say the molecules move. And when the fire is taken away, it hardens again. The pressing wind element predominates again. Right? So this is a reflection on the four elements in sealing wax. Now we can also reflect on the four elements in our practice, and this is very important. That is why in today's class, I started off teaching you the very simple four elements meditation. First, we look at our body as earth, right? Our body pressing against the chair, resistance, that is earth. Then you feel your hand touching each other, or you can feel your hand on the chair. There's also earth element, hardness, softness, right? And then water element, you feel your saliva, like sweat and so on. Then the fire element, the warmth in your body, the coldness or the warmth around you, also fire element. And then the wind element, the air you breathe in, the air you breathe out. Or if there's a fan blowing on you, there's also wind element. Now this is in SD 17.2a session 11, where we look at meditation. So you can actually reflect on these four elements while doing walking meditation also, right? So there you see this young novice doing walking meditation. Of course, in this case, you should learn the traditional, the simple walking meditation first. Make sure you know how to do the walking meditation first, right? Before you go into this water element. Otherwise, it can be quite difficult, right? So make sure you have understood the basic theory regarding the four elements. This is the second part. So number one, make sure you know what is the how to do walking meditation properly. Number two, make sure you understand some idea, basic idea of the four elements which I've spoken so far. Now, okay, basically, when we talk about walking meditation, just like what we did in our meditation at the start, when you are standing, where is the earth element? Where the foot presses against the ground. As you stand, in this case, you can close your eyes, it's easier that way. Then you feel your weight pressing down on the ground, right? That is earth element. So you know there's earth. Feel the pressure, the pressing, hardness. You can say hardness, earth, pressing down, earth. Then the fire element is the lightness, when the foot is just lifted up. So you got to do it slowly. You see, foot is lifted up. That moment of lift off is lifting up. Fire element flies up. Of course, sometimes if you can feel warm, that's also fire element, right? Then the wind element is when you push. In meditation, we say we push the foot forward. The foot moves forward. Forward movement of the foot. You'll be surprised when you move the foot a bit during walking meditation, you can feel the coolness of the wind. That's the wind element. And then when you lower the foot again, and it is going to touch the ground, the foot lowers, touches the ground. That is the flow of the water element. So these are the four elements. Now, it's not easy to do all four at the start. So you are recommended to start with just one or two elements. Earth is the easiest, right? Standing and then pushing. In fact, if you learn walking meditation, your meditation teacher will probably teach you first two steps. Very simple. You start. So walking meditation is not just walking, it's also standing. When you're standing also, you should be aware of it. When you're turning, you turn slowly, you also should be aware of it, right? And then you're standing again. So when just watch the standing and then the pushing. Left foot forward, right foot. Okay. So left foot forward, right foot forward, that forward movement is wind. And then stepping is earth. So stepping, earth. Right foot forward, wind element. Of course, when you are doing this, as I said, you should be able to do the walking already. You can switch anytime. Right? So when you're doing the elements, you don't say standing anymore, you say earth. You feel the hardness, earth. You feel the foot moving forward, earth. Then another time you can go back to stepping forward and so on. Okay, so you cannot use too many words. You just focus on one aspect only like that. So that's why you need to know the traditional walking first. So before you go into this. But it's a very interesting way of making your meditation as a means of understanding the four elements. So here you are. You can see in this diagram, standing here is the earth.
Yeah, we
Okay.
need to press for the word standing.
Okay. Yes. Right there you are. The extra standing word is missing. Now I added it in for us, right? So standing, and that's the earth element. and then lifting, fire going upwards, and then pushing forward. All right. The dot, it means you push, you're supposed to move it. That's the wind element. And then you step again, right? The moment of stepping is water element. And after that, you feel the stepping, the standing, especially at the end of the walk, earth element. So there you are. These are the 4 elements. Right? So notice it's not easy to do all the 4 at once. You got to do it slowly, and you got to really, your mind has to be sharp. So you start with 2 elements first. Now we come to the last part of our talk today. Let's look at how these 4 elements feature in the story of the Buddha. So you see, even in the mythology, in the narrative of the Buddha, you see these elements, 4 elements coming into play. And this is mentioned in section 513. Now remember, in the life of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva is born. And one of the first things he does is he stands on the earth. That means here, he says, here I am. I've come to the earth. So he stands on the earth. And so basically he's accepting his new role, as it were, to teach us. He's going to go through this human life, and then learn all these things about human living, and then become the Buddha, all right? And this standing on the earth shows kind of success. See, the fact that we are able to stand on the earth is already good karma, in the sense that we are born as happy human beings. So the earth here represents the 4 paths of success. Okay, here the 4 paths of success first represents your will to succeed as a human. The fact that you can stand on the earth, it shows that you have become human. We are born as babies and we are crawling around like a little animal. So the still animal stage, and slowly we grow up, we mature, we humanize, we become more human. Then we stand. We start standing on two feet, 2 legs. So then that represents that our will, for the will to rise above the earth. Right? So the standing aspect is our will, that we want to act on our own, using our self-reliance to seek the truth and be free. We don't need a God idea. We don't need to externalize our quest. I mean, we don't need to externalize this looking for answers outside, because the answer is within us. And so you got to make that effort. You got to move forward. Just standing alone is not enough. You have to move ahead. That's virya. That's the second path of success. Virya, the effort. You put in the effort. You move ahead. You move forward. Right? But when you move forward, you must have something in mind. This quest must be clear. So number 3 is chitta, is the mind, the consciousness. What are we in quest of? To understand our mind, to seek our mind. And we use this mind to understand the mind. It is a beautiful way of talking about self-reliance. And then finally, what is this quest? This quest is to look deep into what is happening before us. It's called viññāṇa, investigation. We look at all this happening before us, the bigger picture. We look into it, we look through it into true reality. So you have chanda, virya, chitta, viññāṇa. These are the 4 parts of success. So we can reflect on this when we look at the Bodhisattva standing, newborn baby standing on the earth. And of course, there are other stories like lotuses came forth to support the feet, That is a legend, a myth, meaning that this child will never be really taken over by the world. He will always rise above the world. The lotus represents purity. So there are many ways of looking at the stories. Then you have another earth imagery, that is the plowing festival, which is very common in India those days because it's very agricultural. So the earth is, in plowing festival, the earth is broken up so that we can plant other seeds and then grow rice and so on. And it feeds us. And then we can live, right? So the earth supports life. And there are many more things we can talk about Point Festival, perhaps another occasion. Then one of the most famous gesture the Buddha showed is called the earth-touching gesture. So here we see this Buddha image in India. This could be from the Pala dynasty, I think. You see the right hand is touching the earth. This one is the famous story. Just before the Buddha's awakening, Mara appeared trying to distract him, right? Mara challenged him and said, what right have you to sit under the Bodhi tree? Why? Because Mara thinks that by distracting the Bodhisattva, he has no witnesses, so he can't answer. He got no witnesses that he has done good deeds in the past that makes him be able to sit under the Bodhi tree. So this is where the Buddha calls that one witness is always there, Mother Earth. So it touches the earth. And this story is beautiful. You see this Mother Earth coming up, Mother Earth rising on the ground. So here there are many beautiful pictures. Actually, according to the story, Mother Earth or Gaia is huge, really huge. Like those monsters you see in the movies, Godzilla or something like that. Really huge, bigger than Godzilla. Earth rising up. We're talking about the Earth herself rising up, Gaia. And then she's this beautiful woman. She has this long hair, and she's all wet because she's Mother Earth, and water's the 4 elements is in the earth. And then she twirls her long hair, and the water gushes out and washes away all the Mara and his hosts. So Mother Earth here represents the Buddha's past karma. All the good things he has done is always there, supporting him. The earth is supporting him. And the good earth supports us all the way because we have done lots of good things in the past. We are able to stand here, sit here, and I sit here, talk to you, and you sit there listening. All this earth element working, we are enjoying our good deeds. So in a sense, it's like in the previous talk, someone challenged me and say, what right have you to talk about Buddhism? It's just like Mara appearing in this case. So I didn't touch the earth. It didn't occur to me because I'm not a Bodhisattva. So the thing is, the fact that we're sitting here shows that we've done something good to be able to talk and listen to the Dharma. And even as we talk, we are learning. As we learn, we teach, right? So Mother Earth represents that quality of supporting ourselves with learning and supporting others with teaching. Then we have this water of dedication. If you have performed some kind of dedication of marriage, please don't use transference of marriage. It's a Sinhalese confused idea of merit and donations. Right? You can't transfer merits. It's not a thing. It's not a number. You do something good, like you listen to this talk, your mind is calm, and you dedicate all this goodness. You do all this in the name of somebody you love who has passed away, someone you're grateful to. So you pour this water from a small vessel into a big vessel, or the Chinese pour it on the ground. So when we pour this water, it's an act of reflecting on the 4 elements. Okay. When I was a monk, I introduced this idea of the 4 elements with dedication of merit, because the Chinese like to burn things, especially for the dead. So we can't totally stop them from burning, but you have to replace it with something else. So I told them, I said, okay, you don't have to burn any of these things that you've been burning before. You write down the names of all those ancestors that you love on a piece of paper that you can remember. Then we recite suttas, we have a Dhamma talk, and so on. Then at the end of it, with this really beautiful mind, happy mind, grateful mind, and we get the bowl for the dedication of merit. We burn the piece of paper, right? We say, okay, I do this for the benefit of my ancestors. So you burn the paper with all the names. So it's like a kind of you're cremating them, so to speak. And after that, so that's the earth element, by the way. The burning, of course, is fire element. The ash that remains is earth element. And then you pour the water. Okay. As you pour, you say, may I dedicate this to my relatives. So the water element here represents not only giving, which is called the water of giving in traditional Indian culture. It also represents this event in the Buddha story, right? Mother Earth coming out with water, washing away all the Mara and his demons. This water represents our good karma. Then you pour this water into the bowl, and remembering all the goodness your ancestors have done for you. And then at the same time, you recite, the teacher, the monk, or the lay worker will recite idang me nyati nangotu, and so on, various verses. So that's wind element. So you have earth, water, fire, wind, all working together in this water of dedication, in this act of dedication. It's a very beautiful act. Everything is there. If you know the meaning and do it mindfully. Yeah. And the Bodhi tree, when you see, in fact, when you see any tree, it can be a beautiful reflection on the four elements. The Bodhi tree stands in the ground, it's the earth, right? And then it rises up into space, into the open air. Okay. There is also the space element. There is a space element, which is the fifth element. Then this Bodhi tree rises into the open air, and the wind blows on it. The leaves of the Bodhi tree takes in oxygen, takes in air, takes in the wind. You can translate apo as wind or air. So this tree takes in air, oxygen, and then it also takes in sunlight, which is fire element, takes in sunlight. In fact, trees are precious to us because the trees link us, the earth, and the sun. The tree takes in the fire of the sun, converts it into food that we can take. So in fact, we live on the sun because of the sun, so to speak. Or to be more accurate in terms of what we have talked today, we live on the four elements, which the tree represents. So the tree takes the heat from the sun, combines the air around it, and then grows as plants that we can eat, the fruits that we can eat. We are all plant-based, so to speak. Yeah? So the Bodhi tree, stands in the earth. It takes in water from the earth. It takes in air, oxygen with the leaves, and it takes in the heat and the fire from the sun, combines. And the Bodhi tree represents the Buddha's wisdom. The Buddha sat under this tree, closely connected with this beautiful tree. So when we see this tree, we reflect on this, what we have learned today. And we can see any tree and we can reflect on these four elements in this way. So even in the Buddha's teaching, you see the second discourse, the Buddha talks about fire, right? The fire element, everything is on fire. The eye is on fire, the ear is on fire, the nose is on fire, the tongue is on fire, the body is on fire, the mind is on fire. On fire with what? On fire with greed, on fire with hate, on fire with delusion. So here, fire represents the negative aspects of our life, which destroys us, right? So we change it into the light that liberates us, the light of awakening, right? Now, the word jhana, by the way, jhana can mean simply meditation, right? Or it can refer to a very specific, very important aspect of meditation that burns away our distractions. Before we can reach jhana, we have to remove the 5 hindrances, so, beginning with such a desire, okay, and so on. So this jhana comes from the verb jayati, to burn away, right? So from jayati you get jhana. We burn away the distractions, all those saṅkhāra, fetters, okay? The hindrances rather, the 5 hindrances. Okay? So they see the Buddha sitting happily, meditation, and we know that the Buddha used a breath meditation before his awakening, and it brought him awakening, brought him Buddhahood using the breath meditation. So it's the wind element. So all these 4 elements, they are connected together. Right? So this is our last slide. Remember, the 4 elements, they are not discrete elements. They are not separate things. They are more like proportions or intensity. They kind of, they are states that in a very flux way that they change. And they can be internal within us. It can be external outside us, as we learned in the first lesson. And all physical things, everything, even the chair you're sitting on, a metal chair, is manifestation of the 4 elements. You may look at a chair and say, oh, it looks stable. Yes, it only looks stable, but actually it is decaying, it's changing. You come back and look at it 100 years time, you find the chair is no more what it is today, because everything is in a constant state of change and transformation. Now, once we know all these things, so what is the final lesson here? You tell yourself, even my body, I don't really own it, right? The very thing that gives me life, the breath I take in, I got to give it back. This body is changing all the time. These 4 elements changing all the time. So none of this belongs to me, right? So this does not belong to me. This I am not. This is not myself. This is a reflection not to get caught up with the idea that, oh, I want to look young forever, I want to be healthy forever, I want to live forever. We can't do that. So we just keep moving on. It's not that we don't value our life. It's not that we don't value our body. The fact that our body changes, the fact that we can fall sick anytime, means we should be taking good care of it, so that you can hear the Dhamma and you can teach Dhamma. So this is the meaning here, right? It's not giving up. This is looking at the reality of things so that we can be truly happy and useful, benefiting others. So there you are. This is our advertisement for the next class. The next class is on feeling, which is the second, the 5 aggregates. Okay, so I'll end here so that we can go into question time. Anything you don't understand, you're not sure, this is the time to ask.
Brother Piya?
Yes?
This is David, yeah?
Yes, David.
Now, I just like to take you back to the part where you were talking about the 4 elements and the walking meditation. It is quite easy for us to feel the earth element, but
Yes.
the part where you were talking about lifting the leg and
Yeah.
feeling the fire element, that is a bit
Yes, tricky, yeah.
difficult. Yeah, that's a bit tricky.
Yes,
Can you
yes.
just give a further elaboration on that?
Yeah, sure. That's why I say, number one, you make sure you know the way walking meditation is done by itself. First thing, you have to have an idea. You have to walk very slowly, go through all that motion, and then know all the different words used for the different steps, different parts. You have to know that first, because the 4 elements meditation for walking is based on that understanding. Then, as I said, then begin with only the earth. Experience earth standing, and then moving. Some teachers are used to pushing. You push the foot forward. These 2 first. Just this is the secret, okay? That's how you start. You master these 2 first. You start. You want to know all the 4. You can't say, oh, what did I do? And you start missing all the steps, because you find you got to slow down your movement, significantly slow down. So what you can do here is when you finish the traditional walking meditation, then the next part, when you're slow, you've slowed down, then you go on to the 4 elements. So the 4 elements for walking follows up from walking meditation. Of course, once you're very good, then you can do that on your own, and you learn to slow down, begin to notice it more carefully, and then you can do it on its own.
Okay.
But all the 4 done at the same time is not easy.
Yeah,
but it's
true.
possible. It's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next question. You have 15 minutes more, right?
Hi, Piya. I have a question. It's Arthur.
Yes, Arthur.
And I'm very interested in the 4 elements. I just want to like preface it. And of course, I want to be like practically interested, meditatively. So this question, it might be abstract. If it is, just, tell me.
Sure.
Everything I've heard today and in other instructions, like feeling the heaviness or the warmth or the movement, it sounds to me like, as far as the 6 senses, that's all through the touch, the tactile sense or the body sense. This is maybe a little abstract, but so my understanding is Rūpa, form. Is everything that comes through the senses form? Like my question is, when I look at meditatively, if I look at what's coming through my eyes, is that also made up of the 4 elements? Is that also Rūpa made up of 4 elements? Or what I'm hearing, is that also Rūpa made up of 4 elements?
Very interesting question. Yes, the answer is yes. Because you see, remember earlier on I mentioned that when we speak of form, it can be internal, it can be external, right? So whatever you see is in the form world, our sense world. So another way of looking at form here is whatever is sense-based is form. So, I mean, you're a scientist, so it's easier to talk to you. For example, light, what you see as images, that also is actually earth element. So it's not really earth, but earth element. So it's quite different. So it's like matter. Maybe, we can use the word matter, but it sounds very scientific. So it's kind of, so it's a broad term. Earth is a broad term, which has the sense of matter. So all that is sense-based, what you see, what you hear, even sound is earth element. The sound that hits your ear, you see. So whatever is atom-based, even you can say atom-based is also earth element. I mean, what is not atom-based, I mean, which is physical, right? But once you go into the jhanas, no more atoms, so to speak. So it is different kind of world, is it? So that's another level of talking. Yeah, so as I say, if you have science training, it's kind of really easy to understand this deeper aspect, what the Buddha is teaching us. Is that clear enough? Yeah, do ask me if I miss out anything.
I guess I'm surprised that it's all earth element, because my mind would maybe want to call it like air or fire, because it's not solid. Like
no, it's like all the 4. No, you're right. It's all the 4 also, because any of the 4, they all, in the manner of speaking, the same thing. It's how you look at it, you see, that makes it different. So in the manner of speaking, earth is fire, is water, is wind, but they kind of go through this. Which one is it? It's everything. So I mean, if you look at the atoms, then the professor will say in the end, by the way, this diagram doesn't exist. Nothing in this diagram actually exists. Everything is changing all the time, is it? Right? So there you are. When we talk about the earth element, we are looking at this diagram of the atom, which doesn't exist actually. The reality is all the time changing. So this is what we are talking about. But the real thing is something else. But this is the best we can do as far as language goes. All right.
Maybe one more question to kind of tie it in.
Yeah.
So I actually read a similar essay by Ledi Sero about the elements, and I was fascinated because he had written, and I read this elsewhere, that seeing the 4 elements meditatively is linked to awakening. It's one of the, like, as I would know, but this is what he was writing. And my understanding, it's something like, it cuts through the delusion, like we see more ultimate reality versus conceptual reality.
Yeah.
Can you make a comment there? I mean, is that?
Yeah. I mean, the Buddha saw this through his awakening, and he said, "Wow," and then he spent 49 days just sitting quietly, and he's also kind of planning what he's going to say, more or less. I mean, he naturally knows what he's going to say, but it got so profound and so joyful. So he took 49 days just to, be with himself, enjoying his awakening. And one of the things he saw is that the way the four elements work, and he says, this is very interesting way of talking. So it is the awakened mind looking at what's going on around us. So then the Buddha tells us, you can see this too. See? Well, of course, we've got to make some extra effort. And the effort we make is still conceptual, but it helps. It helps. It's just like science is teaching us something. We will not be be scientists, but we hear you say, yeah, this is interesting. Then you know a little bit more about how the world exists, how the world operates, and it helps you to live a better life in that sense. So although it is conceptual, it brings quality into your life. And if you make that extra effort to reflect more on impermanence, it brings you closer to the path of awakening. So Lady Sayadaw is one of those really great scholars who went beyond his time and spoke in a way which is closer to the modern times. Yeah. Okay, good.
That helps. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Piya,
Yes.
we got Sister Gexiu raise her hand. Sister
Yeah, sure.
Gexiu, please
Yes.
unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Piya.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really interesting because I also come from the basis of science. And I think I haven't actually heard people explaining, because you explain about the interbeings of the four elements. And I find it interesting because in my own practice, when trying to investigate elements, as in looking at pain, for example, looking into the solidity of the pain coming from the body, and when it's
Sorry, Sister Gexiu, can you please speak a bit slower? Your connection is not very good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I was just recalling my own practice of investigating pain on the basis of four elements, and I think perhaps it kind of explains things like when pain actually changes, you can see it moving, that's the root, and sometimes it breaks into sweat, and then you can feel the coldness. I think that's also explaining it from the basis of the four elements. That's in when you do yoga as well, when you are stretching, and sometimes you also break into sweat, and then
right.
But the other contradiction is sometimes when people especially those in the samatha practice, they talk about all these are being very conceptual, the four elements, and they explain things in the kalapa nature. But in modern science, we know about all these protons and all. It's also kalapa. So,
yes.
so I often feel, because I think I come from the basis of more vipassana rather than samatha. So so I just wonder.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, of course, I can understand what you're saying, but I think quite a lot of people are wondering, because yes, you use the word kalapa, okay? Kalapa in Malay means coconut, but here it means something else. It means something like molecule, because kalapa comes closest to the idea of some atoms and molecules. There was a time when scientists thought there must be final state of matter, something unchanging, but the Buddha already said there's no such thing at all. That's the idea of non-self. Even the atom also changes, right? So here, basically what gets you is agreeing what I said earlier, that you can't really put your finger down and say, okay, earth element, that's it, it's the final state of matter. There's no final state of matter. Everything is a flux. It's like you're watching a movie. You cannot just stop the movie and say, that's it, right? So it's all changing. So the idea of change, flux, impermanence is important when you talk of the 4 elements. We will be talking more about feeling in the next study. Right? So there we go into a different aspect of this understanding impermanence. Okay, next question. Should not talk too much so you have more chance.
Brother Piya, can I just clarify a couple of issues?
Okay.
Yeah. Be quick, please. There's another person who wants to ask question.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm also very thankful that you brought up regarding the fluidity of this observation and like things changing, and the interbeings of the 4 elements. But I'm just wondering also, because the Buddha didn't explain much about the 5 viññāṇa, which explain actually the bija and utu, which are more physical, and the 3 spiritual laws of karma, chitta, and dhamma, right? And I was just also thinking that all these 5 natural laws are also interbeing and interconnected, because when you talk about the fluidity of the matter from the solid to the plasma, and the physical, now we know modern science talk about quantum physics when you talk about energy being the field, and then you have this spiritual 3 laws. And because there was one time when I visited a forest monastery, and the abbot or the teacher actually says, everything is nature. So
everything is what? Sorry.
Everything is nature.
Nature. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
He's trying to pin it down. Yeah, that's one way of reflection. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, thank you. Okay, next please.
Next one, Brother Long, please unmute yourself.
Hey, Brother Piya. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. I can hear you. Yes, can. Hello, Long. Go ahead. I think you lost sound. I think.
Yeah. Can you all hear me now?
Can. Yeah, I can. I can hear you well. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
No
so
problem.
I'm trying to look at your notes on the page. I guess page 6. On the wind element. So I was trying to think about, because the one of the teacher told me about when we breathing the air, aware of the coldness and the coldness of the air, I guess she said like the solidity. So I was thinking like, okay, when I breathing in is wind element.
Yes.
And then depends if it's summer or winter, then you can feel the coolness or you can feel the heat.
Yes.
So that's fire element.
Yeah, correct.
If maybe back in Malaysia, humidity is high. Can I say it's also, maybe you can feel the liquid, I guess, or water element?
Yeah, I mean through sweat, yeah, through water touching you, yes.
So this is okay. So and next question, yes, follow-up question is like, is it just trying to help us to aware of the purpose is when we're doing all this step by step is building up our mindfulness, aware of each step? Okay.
It is a very good question. Why do we do this? The idea is that our mind is always anchored to reality. Our mind is connected with reality. When we say, when you feel the breath touching your body, or you feel wind touching the body, you say wind, right? When you stand, you say earth. So you are reflecting on reality at that time. So that's the idea. You're not thinking about something else. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? I hate this guy. I like this guy. Those are opinions. Those are not reality in that sense. Yeah, of course, there's time for all that. But sooner or later, you have to get out of that mode. You don't want to think too much about that. It becomes stressful, see? So we go into this, watching the elements to be in touch with reality. So this is one of the practices. And it's otherwise the breath meditation. And then loving kindness. You can, although loving kindness is something you cultivate, you create, it is something you do in a positive way. So in that sense, it helps, right? So that is why the 4 Brahma Viharas, the 4 divine abodes, it's a different kind of meditation, right? It's not for vipassana in that sense, but it brings you calmness. Then using the calmness, you go into this reality mode. You begin to see all this impermanence, all these changes. So they help each other in that sense. So the simple answer is, we want to get back to reality with the 4 elements. We want to see things as they really are, so that we stay connected with reality. And the Bodhi tree represents that, solidly stuck in the ground, so to speak. All right.
Okay.
Next.
Last question.
Yeah,
sorry.
sure. Go ahead.
If I understand correctly, before the class, the 4 elements, I felt like, tell me if I'm wrong, like on your last page, the last sentence, this is not me, not myself. Is it 4 element is just try to break us into different components so that we don't attach to the body, the Rūpa?
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
I'm wrong.
Okay. This is the real nature of our body. It is dependent on so many things. A doctor will tell you, oh, you know, we are made up so many organs and tissues and stuff, and all these things have they work together in some kind of interconnection, you see. So we're not a single part. We are made up of this really amazing interconnection of things. Yeah, so we cannot pin down ourselves on just one thing. And anything can go wrong anywhere here, right? So that is the nature of all this conditioned reality. That's another, it's a conditioned reality. So we reflect on that conditioned reality, one aspect of which is impermanence. Then we are in touch with reality. So as long as you're in touch with reality, we do not suffer mentally. We may suffer physically, the body goes through all these years, but not the mind. Then we will free ourselves from suffering in the end. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, let's go on.
Brother Piya, or Teacher Piya.
Yes, Pamuja.
Can I say this? As what I understand your teaching today about this Rūpa.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, all these forms cannot, like, you taught us the elements one by one because you want to make us understand. But I think the elements have to come together. On earth, you'll find all these elements. Even in our body, we find all these elements. So it can only happen if all these elements are together in action. Then we will have this moving, you know. So I understand that these have to come together. So it's like dependent on origination, where all the affinities have to come together to have this function. This is what I understand from your teaching. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, they come together. So this is more like we're just looking at different aspects of it. Yeah. But they're not separate. Yeah.
We cannot break it up. Yes, because it's together. Yes.
Yeah, we can't. Correct.
Because you are teaching us, you have to teach us one by one. Otherwise, we won't understand.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions? We are we're nearing the end already. So any last questions? Okay, this is the next course on the TP, Training for the Path, lesson 3, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're on the 10 fetters and renunciation, another interesting topic, 6th of March, right? Okay. So do tell your people, because we're not advertising very much, so just spread the news, right? 6th of March, this is at 8 p.m. as usual, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Closing salutation.
All right. So this is the quiet moment again. I always feel joyful with so many people all over the world, different parts of the world. I imagine seeing the globe and these little spots of light all over, very peaceful, brightening up the world. So we hope there'll be more lights, listening, discussing, talking Dhamma. As I said earlier on, the fact that we can light up ourselves on this world, tiny little dots of light, it is all show the good karma we have done before. And here we are able to sit quietly, listen, to teach, and to learn, and to see in our minds the possibility of awakening. And someone 2,500 years ago has left us this wonderful legacy, this path. Through our own effort, we can awaken peacefully, joyfully. Knowing this with joy and peace, we should send out these thoughts to people who matter to us, our loved ones, people who have been kind to us, that they may be well and happy. And of course, that we too be well and happy so that we can practice the Dhamma, learn the teachings, be kind to others. And even to those who have difficulties with us, they obviously are not happy people. So through their unhappiness, they've done lots of things to bring pain to others. So show them this moment of peace and love, that they too will see the goodness in themselves, that when we meet the next time, we'll be happy together. And this is what loving kindness is about. So this is the moment for us to do that. Send out these wonderful thoughts of loving kindness to as many people, to those who are important to you, even to those whom you may not know. But it's a matter of time that we will know them. Let us now close by paying our respects to the three jewels that light up our life. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down to the Buddha. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down to the holy saints. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so have a good time with the rest of the weekend. For some of you, of course, only Saturday. Here Singapore is Sunday, right? So see you all in the next lesson. Thank you for your presence. It's very nice to see all friends together again.
Yes, sadhu. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much, Brother Piya.
Thank you, everyone.
Teacher Piya,
Wonderful.
Sister Ratna, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thank you, Brother Piya and Sister Ratna and everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you,
good
everyone.
day. Bye.
You too. Yes.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.